Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of the Bobby Bones Show.
We're so happy to have on award-winning country music artist, singer, songwriter, guitarist. He does it all. Scott Southworth, thanks for coming on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm
you
so
know what?
excited.
You and I have kept up with each other for a long time.
Yeah, long time.
And you've had like 7 albums over the years, but you've got this brand new one out right now, coming around to Honky Tonk again.
How about that?
I'll tell you what, I was telling you when before we came down to the studio, you really doubled down on the traditional country on this album.
Absolutely. Well, and I really have for the last 4 albums. It's just, and something that we've talked about is finding your ears.
Right.
This is the stuff that I love writing. When I was in my 20s and I was in rock bands, I was writing songs that didn't match what we were doing.
Yeah.
It's because I was writing country music and didn't realize it. So it's my wheelhouse as far as writing. And then when I realize that there's pockets of the world that still want to hear original traditional music,
right.
Why not? Here in this town, you beat your head against a wall and are trying to get, maybe right for radio.
Yeah.
But instead of, I just kind of decided that I'm ready to just have fun.
Yeah.
So when I realized that people wanted to hear this, man, I can write this stuff all day long. So.
And you do it so well, and I gotta say.
Well, I love it. That's the reason why.
And it shows.
Yeah.
I mean, through this whole album. But what I noticed on this album more than your past ones, even. When you and I have talked to where you're really giving a nod to a lot of your influences. Like
right.
I can hear in here like Dwight Yoakam on a song. I can hear Jimmy Buffett. I can hear Willie Nelson. I can hear the influences in some. I mean George Jones.
Yeah.
I can hear them in here, but it's like. But it's giving a nod. It's not copying them.
I'm
It's
not doing imitations.
No, not at all.
But no, and you even go back where people hear Dwight Yoakam. I'm hearing Buck.
Right.
That's where I'm going.
And it's so funny because on the one song I thought, oh my gosh, this so reminds me of Buck Owens and Don played on stuff, and I was like, going, I love this because nobody's doing new stuff of that. Exactly,
and so that's or when people say, oh, that sounds like Haggard, like you're, and I'm going, well, actually, I'm imitating. That's my homage to Lefty, So I'm going back even further with who I'm trying to emulate in these songs for that, and it's really tough to want to give homage but not be just imitating.
Right.
So
and you're not imitating at all.
Right.
And there's so many great tracks on here. Listening to the whole album, obviously, Coming Around to Honky Tonk Again, very fun song. I think one of my favorite songs, Granny Used to Honky Tonk, which is you did as a duet.
Right, with the great Dallas Moore. He's one of my honky tonk heroes. That guy plays like 320 shows a year, coast to coast. Every day it's like I'm in Indianapolis. Next day I'm in Texas. Next day I'm in Idaho. And I don't know how he's doing this.
But your voices sound so great together on here.
And they're so different. That's why I was excited to do this. We wrote it together, we recorded it, and I was so happy when he wanted to do it because there's such a difference in the voices.
Right.
He has that growl.
Totally. Yes.
And I'm just sliding and slipping all over the notes.
Well, and we were talking too, like even with Drinking for Two or Country No Matter What Country, so many great songs on here. But you were mentioned also that you play the harmonica on this album.
Just on Granny Used to Honky Tonk.
Okay.
I don't pull it out very often these days, but for years in my 20s and 30s when I was in different rock bands and blues bands, I played harmonica a bunch.
Wow.
But I don't break it out that often.
You do it very well.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I also noticed though through the whole album, and we were talking that you had Buddy Hyatt produce this.
Of course, yeah.
And you went back to the familiar Hilltop Studio. Had a couple of ringers play on the album also.
The whole album is ringers. I mean, it's Brett Mason on guitar, it's Joe Spivey on fiddle, Dan Tominski's playing on one of the tracks.
Dan's incredible too.
Lonnie Wilson on drums, Duncan Mullins on bass. and then Scotty Sanders and Steve Henson on pedal steel guitar.
Oh my gosh.
So it's just.
What's it like to be in studio with all of these people?
I'll tell you, the first time I went into the studio and saw Brett Mason, this is the honest to goodness truth here, Brett, if you're watching. I actually I walked in and I saw him, and I went to Buddy and I said, I forgot this had a 32-bar guitar solo at the end. And he goes, oh, okay. And they wrote it in, and I'm like, whew. So I got this great big long Brett Mason solo at the end of one of the first song I ever recorded with Buddy.
Wow.
So, yeah, I love it, and there's such a freedom when you know you're working with these guys, and you can just say, hey, I'm going for Ray Price. I want a Ray Pricey type of sound instrumentally, and they're like, click, click, dial, and go,
Right.
and they hit it.
Yeah, and they're all working on the Nashville number system.
Right. So it allows me to just get in there and perform totally loose and not feel like I'm having to micromanage, a bunch of players, because these guys, they're at a whole nother level. I just have to give them the vibe.
But I
and they
mean,
hit
how
it.
incredible for you, Scott, to have them on your albums.
It's
I mean, yeah, so many
it's
people.
something I don't take for granted.
People dream about that.
Yeah.
And you get to do this. And I got to brag on you, too, to where obviously, you've done very well with your past albums. And with country music people, certainly have taken high notice of you.
They have. God bless them. I'm grateful for them.
But it's like, it's one of the things, and I use you as an example for other friends to where, not only do you do a great job playing in the United States, and certainly, playing the Bluebird, playing the Commodore, everything here in Nashville, but you are huge in the UK and in Germany and Ireland. I mean, you've had #1 hits there.
I may have. That's
You've
highly
charted,
possible.
You've charted very well
absolutely, there. Yeah. It's been great, and I love it. It's allowed me in my, and the first album that started doing well there, I was in my 50s. I just hit my 50s.
Yeah.
So at this stage in life, to have had all these opportunities now to go tour across Europe, to take my family with me. I take my wife or my daughter or my son. They've all gone on with me on tours, and how great at this stage in life to be able to go travel around with my family and
Right.
play music. I mean, it's more than I could have dreamed for.
Well, and how much different are those audiences compared to the United States? Because obviously when you play listing rooms here, we know everybody stays quiet, they listen to the songs
Sure.
and everything. But I've heard it's the same, in Europe.
They are very, very engaged. When you're playing these festivals, they are there to listen and to dance, and they're locked in with you. So it's a really neat feeling.
And you're playing to thousands of people.
Yeah, and they know the words to my songs, and then I come home the next week and play to 2 people in a coffee shop, and one of them's looking at you funny because she's trying to do her TikTok. So
I've played to those audiences.
actually, this isn't a TikTok.
No, but-
this shows my
But also it's very humbling. But you do it so well, and I know that you certainly go on a lot of radio shows, overseas also, which is not easy to work out because of the time differences.
Right. Well, you just wake up early in the morning. I do. My day starts around 5 a.m. and anything that I'm doing, then of course you got your Fox 17 morning crew going 5 a.m. That's not early in the morning. Hold my beer.
Yeah. But for the rest of us though, I mean, you got to be up and on
Right.
because they've already been doing their radio show.
It's lunchtime.
Yeah, and they're like going, okay, you got to be on fire.
Right.
And for somebody like me, it may take 2 or 3 cups of coffee.
Nope, I only do 1 a day.
Really?
But and then on Fridays, typically on 7 in the morning, I do a YouTube live called the Honky Tonk. I don't even know what it's called right now, but it's on YouTube. Just look up Scott Southworth. And
Yeah.
Friday morning, 7 a.m., I'm out there playing because, again, it's lunchtime in Europe.
Right.
And so they're watching. I get my early birds here, but it's and there's no competition at 7 in the morning. There aren't many musicians playing music. at that time of day.
Right.
I just lay off the high notes.
Yeah,
That's all.
good call, good call. Well, you know, and I've got to bring this up. Besides having a great new album out, which is available on CD and hopefully vinyl, and that, you know, just a great job on the traditional country. But I've got to bring up also, you've got a TV show as well.
I do. I host a show called Gorilla Country on the Country Roads TV network.
Yeah.
And thanks for bringing it up. It's a music video show that all we do is shine a light on all the indie artists out there.
Right.
You talk about the title track of this album. The idea of that song was to bring up all these amazing indie artists that are out there right now making killer music.
Definitely.
That's authentic, you know, real country music.
Yeah.
And so when I had the opportunity to put a TV show together, that was the mindset as well, is I want to shine a light on as many of these artists out there, because people complain that they can't find country music, but it's not that it's not there. They're not looking at the right place. It's like looking at a Pepsi machine and cussing because there's no Coca-Cola.
Right.
There's plenty of Coca-Cola out there. You
Well,
just
and I
gotta
think a
find
show
it.
like yours and somebody like you too, Scott, you're able to bring a spotlight onto them, just like you did with Music Row TV for 10 years.
Sure,
You know, until you
sure.
wrapped that up in 2017. But
Yeah.
it's like, but you know, shows like ours are trying to, you know, allow all artists, you know, the opportunity to show their music and showcase them.
Right.
And it comes down to the quality of the music.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. And I know it does on this show. So I
Right.
appreciate you having me on in
Well-
spite of that.
You always, I mean, I really think this is probably your best album today.
Oh, thank you very
You know,
much.
I mean, just wowed me with every track, and I know you're going to do well with it, you know, in the U.S. and internationally. But I got to bring up also that you've been with a guitar company for a couple days now.
Yeah, I've been with Larrivee Guitars since 2017.
Right.
So they've been with me for, that's a long time. What is
That
that,
is.
16 years?
It's
Something like that?
It's like 2017 or?
Yeah. No, 2007.
Oh, 2007.
2007. Sorry.
Yeah, the
Math
incredible-
isn't I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's about it.
That's all you got to do.
That's all I got to do.
Yeah, but great guitars, and I know they've been with you, and also the Schertler Pickups.
The Schertler Pickups, I've been working with them now for several years, not as long as Larrivee, but my folks at Larrivee, one of the guys at Larrivee actually turned me on to the Schertler folks, and we started a good relationship.
Now, has this been your main songwriting and touring guitar, Scott?
This has I've only had this one for about 3 years. So, and then I accidentally got another one last year. You know how that happens when you
happens.
accidentally get a guitar.
It happens to me all the time.
Matt would like to nod, but he's afraid. He's afraid to move. But yeah. So I've been with Larrivee forever. They're great guitars. Of course, they're all still made. Jean Larrivee touches every guitar they sell.
Wow.
Still.
Yeah.
And he's out there sourcing the woods, and I love everything about how they do business and how they build guitars. I've been thrilled with all of my Larrivees.
Well, you know,
So-
and I got to bring this up too, Scott, because obviously, you know, you and I have known each other for a lot of years, and you're a very snappy dresser, and that's why I knew I needed to wear a sport coat also. Do you have a wardrobe consultant for those incredible jackets that you wear? Because I know that you wear them, you know, when you're playing around here in Nashville, when you're touring internationally.
Yeah.
Do you have a wardrobe
I
consultant?
do not have a wardrobe consultant.
wondered.
Actually, I guess I kind of do. If my wife goes, "You're not going out like that, are you?" then I know I've hit the jackpot.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's a winner.
Yeah. No, there's a local gentleman, hit songwriter and painter by the name of Ray Stevenson, and he's an amazing painter.
Yeah.
He wrote Hemingway's Whiskey.
Oh my gosh, what a great
for
song.
Kenny Chesney
Right.
with Guy Clark.
Yeah.
And he's had other hits, but yeah, he makes my jackets. I bring him jackets.
Yeah.
He goes to town on them. Every now and then I'll give him direction, but most of the time I just go, "Here's my latest CD. You listen to it while you're working on it, and you come up with whatever you want to come up
That's
with."
fun.
Yeah, yeah. So
Wow.
I never know what I'm gonna get, and it works out.
Well, you know, I've got to ask you this with the great new album out.
Yes.
And I know that, you know, with the singles and everything else you're rolling out from it also, music videos.
Yes.
Are you going to be doing music videos?
Well, I did one for Granny Used to Honky Tonk.
Okay.
So everybody go to YouTube and check that out. I've done several music videos. I think that's my seventh or eighth one,
Gotcha.
the Granny. But that was one with Dallas Moore. And then I have a buddy of mine that's been in most of them. Like I've dressed him up as a whiskey bottle. I've dressed him up as a heart that gets beat up by 3 girls in a boxing ring.
He's a good prop.
He's a good prop. And this time I have him as a bro country cliche in the beginning of the video. So
Oh my gosh.
so he's bless his heart. I don't know why he keeps doing these videos with me, but I'm glad
Probably
he
because
does.
of the high pay that you give him.
The very high pay. But his name's Hino. He was my co-host
Right.
on the Music Row Show.
Well, and I was bringing up to you also with the new album out, which I think still should go to vinyl. I really like the artwork.
Yes. And
With this photography, and so exactly where was this photographed?
okay, so first off, the photographer is Barbara Potter, and she's here in Nashville, and mwah, she's unbelievable. I absolutely love her. And then Hino did the artwork actually too. But the inside and outside pictures, those were all taken in Ernest Tubbs' tour bus, the Green Hornet.
Wow.
Which is at Wicked Ollie's Vintage Wear on Music Valley Drive. I just was in there buying a shirt, and I go, that's the entire tour bus inside this store. And you can walk in, you can look around.
Yeah.
So I just said, can I take some pictures in here? And they go, yeah, we don't care. So I got Barbara, and we went and...
So did you kind of feel the mojo while you were there?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. I mean, that thing has 3 million miles on it of touring with Ernest Tubb. And,
That's incredible.
And that band,
So you're going to model like your tour bus off this then?
Well, my tour bus is more of a Ford F-150 with a sleeping bag in the back seat.
Yeah, it's similar.
Yeah, very similar.
Yeah, as long as you
very
paint your
similar.
logo and face and everything on there.
Right, which my wife would never let happen. Yeah, are you going out like that?
You're exactly. It's just like the clothes. I know, that happens to me all the time. Well, I want to make sure for our viewers, Scott, the music is so good. But coming around to Honky Tonk again,
Yes.
It's been out since September. The music's doing great. So many incredible singles. I know that viewers are going to want to order their own copy of the CD, everything. Where do they need to go? Well,
let's see here. If they want to buy it, if you look at my website, scottsouthworth.com, in the bio, there's a link to where you can buy it, but it's scottsouthworth.bandcamp.com. If you want to find me on Facebook, it's Scott Southworth Music. Instagram and Twitter is Say Howdy Scott. And on Tinder, I'm at Eric Dahl at Fox17.
No.
And that's where you find me there. Yes.
But also, we got to mention your TV show again.
Yes, Guerrilla Country. Thank you. I'm sorry I'm yelling into the microphone. Guerrilla Country on Country Road TV and scottsouthworth.com. Find me on YouTube. Again, I'm doing the lives at 7 in the morning.
Early morning.
Early morning. And then, of course, all the other music videos. And the other thing I'll say is, as you're listening to this, as you listen to it,
right.
I really, when I put it all together, I realized near the end that I didn't have any ballads. So I had to scramble to put a couple slow songs because there was really just an element of, I want people to have fun when they listen to this.
Totally.
I want, we've had so much heavy the last several years. And so I've really kind of decided that one of my purposes is just to help take people's mind off things and just have some fun, get some smiles, have a laugh. Middle finger first should make people laugh and smile.
Well, and I think on this album too, Scott, particularly for people that love traditional country, there's a song for everybody on here.
Yes.
If you don't get thrilled about the one song, go to the next one.
Right.
You're going to find a number of songs on here, and I had so many favorites. Like I told you, just listening to it. That Here Comes the Night, When the Bottle Goes Dry, just a lot of great singles on here, but also to enjoy the whole album. I think it's the best way to do it.
Absolutely. Enjoy the whole thing. And
I'm glad you're keeping this alive.
If you don't like it, Eric's giving you a money-back guarantee. He will reimburse you.
But also, go out and see Scott Southworth live, because if you enjoy the music as much as I do, this great new album, he's even better live. You get the comedy, you get the great music, and the personality that is Scott Southworth.
Shucks. Well.
Thanks for coming on the show, Scott.
Thanks for having me, man.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of the Bobby Bones Show.